We're gonna make pie crust today, and you're gonna wanna start with frozen butter and a little bit of ice water. And I make all of mine in my food processor. So if you have one of those, it's a great tool. The first thing we're gonna do is with the grater attachment in your food processor, you're gonna grate your butter. Again, you wanna make sure your butter is frozen ideally. You're gonna take your grater attachment out and put your chopper attachment on. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of flour to the butter. I like to take the lid off and add that first little bit. And I like to just kind of pulse it a little bit and start getting it mixed together. We're also gonna add our salt at this point. Then we're gonna go ahead and crack our eggs in there. And again, we just don't wanna over mix anything, so we're gonna lightly pulse it. And if there's things sticking to the sides up at the top, especially because my flour and my butter and eggs are all really cold, sometimes it'll freeze to the side of my food processor bowl. So you wanna make sure and scrape things down if they do get stuck up high. Now we're gonna turn it into the on position and remove this, and we're gonna slowly add 4 tablespoons of ice cold water. I'm gonna turn it on high and get it mixed really good and finish it up. Once your dough starts to pull away from the side and kind of ball up together, that's how you know it's done. I always pour it directly onto my plastic wrap so that I can pat it into a little disc and put it in the refrigerator to chill for just a little bit before I roll it out. This does make 2 pie crusts, so it could be a base and a top, or 2 bases if you're doing something like a pumpkin or a pecan pie. Then I just wrap my dough up in my saran wrap and press it into a flat disc so that it's easier to roll out, but also so it refrigerates and cools faster. So this is kind of what you want your disc to look like. And again, I split my dough in half, so this is enough pie crust for 1 base crust. Again, as I'm pressing this out, I don't know if you can see, there's a few little butter flecks that I can kind of still see in there. That's perfect. That's gonna be a flaky pie crust. Okay, I just pulled my pie crust out of the refrigerator. You can do it in the freezer if you're in a hurry, but it was in there about 20 minutes in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna pull it out, and the most important thing is having it on something that you can pick up and flip over onto your pie pan. So I have a piece of parchment here. You can do a silicone mat, whatever is easiest for you. Another thing I like to do when I'm rolling out pie crust is sometimes, because there are butter flecks in here, little pieces will stick to my rolling pin and kind of get stuck on there. So I will cover with another piece of parchment, and that'll help me roll it out even thinner without it getting stuck to my rolling pin. Once I double check that it is going to be big enough, I have some really big, deep pie pans, so I like to double check that I got it rolled out big enough. Then I'm gonna pop this in the refrigerator for 3 minutes. It'll pull off of the parchment a little bit better if I have it chilled for just a second. I just pulled the pie crust out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna pull the top piece of parchment off. Again, it comes off pretty easy because it's been refrigerated for just a second. Then I'm gonna lay my pie crust on top of the pie dish. And since it is cold, you wanna kinda let it ease into the pie dish. So it'll kind of start to warm up as you're pressing it down in there. If you go ahead and press it while it's cold, it will start to crack a little bit. So I always make pie crust ahead of time for the freezer before the holidays. So what I'm gonna do is I have my finished pie crust, the raw dough, already pressed into my pie dish. So then I just take plastic wrap and lightly wrap that around my pie crust. And then I'll just pop it in the freezer, and then whenever it's time to start baking for the holidays, I can just pull it out and let it thaw just a little bit before filling it and baking it.